Do you have anything on you that whole time? Any as far as like an E&E type kit with either gold or silver or
Yes,
cash or
we
something like
yes
that?
we had 20 sovereigns, gold sovereigns. I lost mine officially.
Yeah, that's happening a
So
lot here with people's
yeah,
guns in the new administration. They're getting lost.
yes, yeah. So no, we had gold sovereigns. We had a silk scaper map
Mhm.
that was sewn into the trousers. I'd had a standard survival pack, but it just had the button compass and razor blades. Nothing, because you know how hostile that environment is in the winter. Nothing grows, and it would have been too much of a risk to try and rob somebody or to go to a house. So I just went, stay away from everybody. And just leave as little sign as possible.
Yeah,
It's a hard place to survive, I think, because it is so
yeah.
barren and you're open to the elements.
And for people that are
You
listening, so
know,
this is 7 days from insertion, and you've essentially moved, run, maneuvered, patrolled 300 kilometers to the Syrian
yeah,
border in some
yes,
of the most uh, the roughest conditions that you can be moving about in, while being hunted by an enemy who knows that
yeah.
you are there.
Well, the you know what the interesting thing was, that it wasn't the Iraqis that were the problem. It was the
Weather.
weather. It was nature. And as a human being, if you're ill prepared or you don't have the equipment, it's difficult and it'll catch you out. And as I said, the them two lads that died of hypothermia were well trained SES soldiers, and it took them, and not in a particular nice way. But the only other thing is, I think, British American soldiers, we have a resourcefulness about us, and we're used to the outdoors. And I sometimes worry about our youngsters who are joining the military,
Hmm.
because when I was a kid, a punishment for me was to be brought in from outside, where I'd be playing in the woods, in the fields, and you pick up things that you don't realize you're picking up. But now I think youngsters, as a punishment, are kicked out of the house away from the computer to go outside, and it's nearly a role reversal. But again, there is the argument that we're using a lot more technical equipment, and these guys are really sharp on that. But there is that balance of never forgetting the basics, the basic field craft
Hmm.
things that we're taught, when you join the army, and things like that.
I might get this
Yeah.
a little bit off, but I think in the North Atlantic, World War I, I think that was the birthplace of what's called Outward Bound here in the United States, which I think started over in the
Yes.
UK. And what they were
Yeah.
finding was these sailors, merchant marines, people that were hit by U-boats and that sort of thing, the younger ones were expiring of exposure, not the older ones, and that went against
Yeah.
what people had thought. We think the older people would be more susceptible to this cold and that sort of thing. And what they came up with was no, because the older people have been tested. They've been tested. They've been put through the ringer. They're more resilient because they have this life
Mhm.
experience. And
Yeah.
so that Outward Bound started to give younger people, put them in these tough situations outside, learn some of that field craft, learn some of that resiliency through overcoming adversity, to realize, hey, what the human body can take, what the human spirit can take.
Yeah.
And that's exactly feeds back
It's
into
it's
exactly
just
what you just
simple.
said.
Yeah, it's just simple things that you probably wouldn't even think of. It's understanding, say, like the wind. That's going to sap you. It's going to rob you of any heat that you have. So you get yourself out of the wind in a shelter. A north sided slope, you're always going to be in shadow. So if you think of the basic things of why things are seen, shape, shine, shadow, movement, and all of that, it's like you get into that hollow. It's going to be rough because it's going to be cold, but nobody's going to, or you stand less chance of being seen. The other thing, movement. You don't move. You lie there. It's going to be rough, lying for 12 hours on bedrock, freezing cold, but nobody's going to catch your eye. Silhouette, you get into that hollow ground. But no, I think the desert, whether it be in the summer, which, again, nobody moves, or the winter, it's really harsh. I mean, I love being in the jungle. In my last 2 years in the SES was spent as an instructor, selecting and training guys. And I used to love the jungle because I knew I was guaranteed a good 6 hours sleep. I knew I could step 2 meters off like a ridge line and I'd disappear. I could hide. I felt safe. But I would see students coming in, and some of them would suffer from claustrophobia because all they saw was that green curtain in front of them. You know, they think there's something hiding around every corner that's going to bite them or sting them. You're either walking uphill or downhill, but that makes no difference. And you're always going to be wet. If you can accept the jungle, I think it's a great place to be, and it's a great level of the jungle. But again, working with it, and I just love it.
Oh, you know? That's amazing. And were you aware when you were out there? Were you aware that there was someone in World War II, an SAS soldier, went through something not quite?
Yeah, Jack Silto.
Did you know that that back then?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Did you think about that?
No, I didn't. Okay. Honestly, I wasn't thinking I've got to bust his record. But
well, not in those terms, yeah. But more so like, hey, someone has gone through something like this before.
Yeah, no, I knew all about them guys, and the walks Jack did. I'll tell you what was weird though. When I was trying to, like lying up, I would go into these vivid dreams, and they'd probably last no more than maybe 1 or 2 minutes. But I'm sure it was a fail-safe thing, and it was so lifelike. I was surrounded by the squadron, and I could hear individuals talking and laughing, and you could get like this warm feeling. And you know what? It used to kill me when I opened my eyes and there was nobody there. Wow. Because it was that like life. It was like, I could hear the voices, and you would wake up and you were by yourself, and it was nearly like somebody was trying to punish you or torture you with hope.
Amazing.